So one of the projects that I've been wanting to do on the Cobra but I've been putting off because there hasn't been a need to keep things going, is putting seat heaters in. And I actually ordered the seat heater kits a while ago. Just bought them from Summit Racing, made by Dorman. This is the part number you can see here. Reviews were good, really inexpensive. I want to say it was something like either somewhere between 20 and 40 bucks each. So not a whole lot of money to add. So why would you put seat heat in a Cobra? I still ride motorcycles, just not as much as I used to. And if you're going to be driving a Cobra where you've got no roof and you're doing it on anything but perfect days, it really is nice to have a little bit of extra heat. So on motorcycles, sometimes you do a heated seat, sometimes heated grips, sometimes heated clothing. And of course you could use all of those on the car. But for how cheap it is to put seat heaters in, I decided it's worth doing. So I got the seats out. So when you order the kit from Factory 5, they give you the option of either vinyl, which is the standard, or leather, which is optional. I'm sure the leather is nicer. This vinyl really is a good quality, feels nice, accurate looking reproduction of the original, and supposedly made in England. So I've already done the seat bottom here, and the seat comes out really easily. You've got this part here that clips to this bar. So you just snap it off, and then it velcros in on the back. And so then what you have is the seat bottom is glued in place on either side and then on the back. So what I did was I just tore out the two sides, pulled the foam out, and I put the heating pad on. When I go to do the other one, I'll just take a quick video with it apart so that you can see. So now for the seat top. The seat top is perhaps, or seat back rather, is a little bit more complicated. If you want to take the entire fabric or the entire vinyl covering off, and I think I do want to do that because one of the things I want to have done, and I need to talk to some interior shops to see what this will cost, but I want to have this stitching done up in red for both the seat bottom and the seat back. So to get the bottom off, you've got these parts that clip in to the seat frame, and then there's a fourth one for the back that clips in. But then you've also got some of these little metal clips that you have to undo to get it off, and some of it's also glued on as well. Definitely more involved. To put this back together, all I'm going to need is some spray adhesive and then put it on. This part, I'll still need some spray adhesive, but there's definitely more to it to get the whole thing off. But once you get those clips and clips off, both the little metal ones and then these long ones, you can just slide the back off. But if you're only wanting to do the seat heat, like what I want to do for the moment, once you get this back part up, there's plenty of room, and you can't see too well, but there's plenty of room to just reach up in there and then and then put the heating pad on. And you can see it's just got these adhesive strips on, so all you got to do is pull this off and put it on. So that's what I'm going to do here right now. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on both of the seats and then just put them back up on the shelf while I figure out what I'm going to do for having the stitching done. If it's going to cost too much, then I'm probably not going to bother doing it. But no point in putting them back together if I'm going to have to take them apart the rest of the way. So here's another video in a minute. Well, here's the second seat, and you can see on the seat bottom I just pulled off the double-sided tape cover, put it on. For this seat back, since I realized that all I had to do to get the heating pad on was just to pull this part off, that's what I did. So you can see You can see the pad on there. I did something a little different on this seat versus the other one. On the other seat, I put the pad in place on the seat back, and then I tried to get the tape backing off, and then on this one I took the tape backing off first and put it in place. I think that doing it the latter way is better, taking the tape covering off first. Obviously you have to be careful that it doesn't stick to stuff, but it's not super sticky, so it's not going to just instantly grab onto anything it comes into contact with, so I think you're pretty safe with that. Other thing I did was I tried to make sure that on one seat you had the wires coming out on the left side and the other seat on the right side. These seats, from what I can tell, are interchangeable, but you figure chances are one of them you're going to want it on the left versus the right. So I'll figure that part out later. Another thing I just wanted to point out was that these also come complete with a wiring harness and also with the switch. So you can see it's got a low and a high setting. So, and even comes with a relay and all that. So it's really a pretty complete kit, especially for the price. So I have to figure out how I want to do that. A couple of ways. I actually once had a Suburban that I think had these exact same seat heaters in it. I put aftermarket seats in, and I think what they did was that they just put the little switch on the side of the seat. I might do that. Other thing, just looking at how this is set up, I could put the switches in the side aluminum pieces, like around here, which would be easy for driver and passenger to reach. I could also put the switches up on the dashboard, which would also be easy to reach, clutter things up a little bit more. And then the other thing is that because of the proximity of the seats to where the battery is going to be, and the fact that these come with their own fuse holders in them, what I think I'm going to do is probably just run the wiring straight up to the battery, and then that'll actually simplify the electrical a little bit. So some of that stuff's going to be more clear as I get further along. But I'd say probably a good thing that I did it now, just because that way when I do the electrical system, I know that I don't need to consider the seat heaters, that they kind of work on their own. Have a weekend when you're working on a project like this where you feel like you didn't really get a whole lot done because there's less to show for it in terms of boxes thrown away or parts that you can see on the car. And sometimes that happens, and it's largely because you were working on other things and maybe you just didn't have the hardware. In this case, I've got a bunch of things that I would have gotten done if I had the right bolts, but I don't. I can't put the alternator on because I need a longer bolt. I put the steering wheel together, and I was going to attach that to the steering column to make things, make it easier for me to move the car around. And then I come to find that I don't have the right size bolt for that either, so I have to buy that. And of course the kit came with it, but I think I probably just used it someplace else, and I can't find another bolt. Although now that I said that, now I have an idea for where it might be, so I may go look there. So, but right now I'm planning on having to buy one of those to get that done. So this is one of those weekends where there's not a lot of feeling of accomplishment, but the reality is I did still get a lot done. You know, I got the upper cooling hose on. I still have to get a fitting for the overflow, and then decide if I'm going to run that to an overflow tank or just a hose out the bottom. Started doing some planning and figuring out some stuff for the HVAC, and made some progress on the seats. And I decided to give myself that feeling of accomplishment. I'm just going to wrap the seats back up and then just place them on the top of the shelf so I can throw out this big box. So that way I'll feel like I did something, since for me throwing boxes out is part of where the accomplishment feeling comes from. So anyway, just another weekend working on the Cobra. Thanks for watching, and I'll post another one in another couple weeks.